Homicidal clothes cause I'm dressed to kill. Leave 6 bitches oohing cause I'm worth a mill. Flow is ill, spitting no vomit spill. Killing them softly but I ain't Lauren.
What is up, my people? Welcome back to another episode of the Townie Sports Podcast. I am one of your 2 hosts for this good evening, along with, as always, my partner in crime, Vic. Vic, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing wonderful, Sammy. Just another beautiful Tuesday night here in safe, sunny Florida.
Hell yeah. And, of course, we wouldn't be able to do 2 pods in a row with our main man from the Fairweather Podcast, A-Rod. A-Rod, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, guys. Thank you for having me on once again. Always a pleasure to come on.
You sound so polite on the air, but deep down inside, I know how ghetto you can be, bro.
Don't do this.
I'm playing.
Your fans.
Right, we got a really big show on the docket. That's why, A-Rod, I wanted to bring you on and chop it up with you, talk a little smack. No AFC East, so we get to just talk kind of even smack overall. So yeah, pretty much how we're going to lay it down today. Start off with the AFC South, talk about, obviously all the teams involved there, the AFC West, the NFC West, and then I will close it out with a Townie takeaway. And I know, A-Rod, you're probably going to love my Townie takeaway, and I'll allow both of you to jump in if you guys want. But I know, A-Rod, you in particular will like it. But
Can't wait.
Jumping straight into it because we have such a large show, and I know we're going to be talking about all these teams pretty much this whole time. But first, AFC South. Now, this is going again in alphabetical order. No particular order in regards to how the team's going to do or anything like that, but alphabetical order. So obviously starting with the Houston Texans. So the key acquisitions there, Marlon Mack. And then in round 4, they got Dameon Pierce, running back out of Florida. And then the key departures on their end is Deshaun Watson, Tyrod Taylor, David Johnson, and safety Justin Reed. So Vic, I'm going to start with you because that's how we've been chopping it up. But what is your view on the Texans this season?
Well, the biggest thing with the Texans, of course, is the loss of their franchise quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Not going into the minutia of it all. I don't want to start a conversation about how big of a piece of shit he is, but that leaves a gaping hole, and I think that Davis Mills proved enough last year that he could be the starting quarterback this year. One thing that I did see from Davis Mills last year is he wasn't afraid of the moment. As from a rookie. Now I'm not gonna give you heresy and say he was Brady-esque, coming from such a late round draft pick. But the storyline's there for Davis Mills. So
the key takeaways, we compare everybody to Tom Brady or the 2008 Celtics. That's
right, exactly. and now don't get it twisted. They are poised to be in the basement this year of the AFC South, regardless of what happens. The team isn't great. They lost 2 of their best players, arguably, and they continue to lose players left and right. I think it's an organizational thing. I don't like the Texans at all this year. I think they are going to be the worst team in the NFL, and I think that they're going to end up with C.J. Stroud next year.
Hey, Rod, what are your thoughts on the Houston Texans?
I'm pretty much on the same level as Vic on this. The Texans, it's got to be ownership, man. They're going through like an identity crisis of what that team is going to look like. And I know you mentioned Marlon Mack. He got cut today. So, go Bulls, baby. But
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Marlon Mack was one of the cuts today. So that opens up
breaking
the
news.
Floodgates to Pierce. So Dameon Pierce is, going up high on a lot of people's fantasy boards. And he looks good running, but like you said, it's a crap team, and they're poised to be at the bottom of the NFL, with the worst record. So Davis Mills, he had a lot of hype coming out of college, and he looked good in the moment, but with what talent around him? Brandon Cooks is getting up there in age. That defense has lost a lot of good players. They had the T.J. Watts, Tyrann Matthews. A lot of guys are gone now, and even on offense. So they're just basically putting together what they can with what's available out there. and I don't have a lot of hope for them. The only thing that looks promising to me is Damian Pierce being that bell cow kind of back. But other than that, not poised for a good season.
All right, A-Rod, so I got to give you this. While I give my takeaway, I'll have you do this because I think I forgot to mention. What we also do is each team, we give a couple fantasy players, whether it be a stud, sleeper, deep sleeper that we see from the team. So I'll let you look into that while I'm going to give my quick cut, and then we'll do another round robin where we talk about that. Okay. And, of course, we also do the over-under as well. So kind of added a little bit more fun to it this time around. But yeah, I think David, I'm agree with both of you guys, and especially with you, Vic. Davis Mills showed some promise last season, especially kind of towards the end of last season as he just continuously improved. I felt like every single week. But I mean, despite that, he was still out of Pro Football Focus rankings. He was 35 out of 37 quarterbacks, so that's not very good. I think that's probably a little bit of the talent around him. The offense was ranked 30th. Defense also ranked 30th last season, both of which did not get much improvement in this offseason. Head coach Lovie Smith looks to improve the defensive scheme. I think we might see some improvement there slowly just because of the lack of talent there. And then also, to kind of A-Rod's point, I know they were talking about Brandon Cooks getting up there in age, and I mean, they did reach for Johnny Mechie, but I mean, unfortunately, he will have to, take this year off as he, fights the, APL, which is that treatable form of leukemia. So obviously, thoughts and prayers go out to him and a quick recovery there. So that was kind of a big loss for Davis Mills, another potential weapon that he could have there. But
and I'm glad you brought that up, Sammy, because that was a huge loss. Mechie was one of those Alabama wide receivers that crushed it last year. A tough loss, but God willing, he will be back next year, hopefully. This is something that is curable. So hopefully, definitely one for the future, I think, Mechie.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm agreeing with you guys. I think this is probably the worst team in the NFL, if not the second worst team in the NFL. The over-under right now is sitting at 4.5, so we'll do a quick round robin again. Over-under 4.5. A-Rod, we'll start with you this time.
I'm going under.
Okay. Vic?
I'm going under, but Sammy, do you have their strength of schedule in front of you by chance?
I do not.
It's a very soft division, but I just don't see a lot on that roster. A lot of question marks, a lot of holes.
That's the thing. That's the thing that scares me with the 4.5. And the what was it? The Lions won 2 last year, right? And they were the 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'll go under. Heavy under.
Yeah. So based on Sharp Football Analysis, their projected win total, while also taking into consideration their strength of schedule, which looks to be a little harder than average. Yeah, so that stinks for them.
That might be a lock, man.
4.45. So yeah, they have the 28th, I think, strength of schedule. So that's very, very hard. Oh no, yes, 28th, 27, 28th strength of schedule. Being 32 is the hardest, 1 is the easiest. So, yeah, that sucks for them. But all right, so we're, I think, all pretty much consensus under 4.5 there. Vic, I'll start with you this time. Let's see, what do you got for fantasy value on these teams? Average Kurt says 3.5 wins. I think that's a lock right there.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. 3.5 wins. It would have been Mechie had he played this year. I think it's got to be the only other wide receiver on that team. Brandon Cooks is probably my quote unquote stud.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm drafting Brandon Cooks anywhere near the top 10, 5 or 6 rounds.
I think I have his ADP up here. Yes, I do. Let's see, ADP wide receivers. You're looking at Brandon Cooks. I mean, wide receiver 23, you could do worse as being he's the main guy, right? I mean, there's only football's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it does, but the thing is how much, and then what does their running game look like? You know what I mean? That's another thing. I just don't think he's going to have a lot of opportunity there. He's going to be double teamed constantly. He's older this year. I believe he's almost 29. I think he's 29 or 28, something like that. I don't love it for Brandon Cooks' fantasy value. I think he's let's see here. He's the 52nd ranked player in fantasy, and he's going 55th overall in ADP according to Pro Football Focus in PPR leagues. So, and if you're not playing PPR, then you play in a child's league.
Yeah, he's going 51st. According on ESPN, he is still the 20th ranked wide receiver. So, yeah, I guess I could probably get better value there if you're looking. Let's see, where is he at? So you're looking players taken after him: Chris Godwin, Cortland Sutton, Marquise Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Gabe Davis.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd probably take him around there, so 23-ish, 25. I think I'd still like Brandon Cooks over Gabe Davis. Any sleepers or anything on this team? I know it's kind of tough. You're kind of.
I'm shocked about what you just said. That's insane. You like Brandon Cooks over Gabe Davis? I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So
I'm sticking
sleepers. I'm going to go Nico Collins, but keep your eye on Dameon Pierce. After finding out that Marlon Mack was sacked, no pun intended, by the Texans. Somebody's got to run the ball. Somebody has to be the offense there. I think Dameon Pierce is in line. Right now he's going 75th.
That's skyrocketing. That's going to skyrocket.
Yeah, he's skyrocketing now. Yeah.
He's the 24th ranked running back right now. So.
Yeah, and back to Dameon Pierce real quick. Like they were able to cut ties with David Johnson. Not saying he did a lot there. They kind of used him wrong, and he did it to himself. So you're able to cut ties with a guy who was a fantasy god a couple years back. Good production running back, Johnson. Keep Record, who got the bulk of the carries last year. He's leapfrogging him. They cut ties with the Marlon Mack they brought in. Royce Freeman's there. I don't know. Everyone tries to hype him up, but he's not really that great of a running back. So yeah, for a rookie to come out and take that job, I would say it's the same thing. If we're doing sleepers, I mean, I guess. Collins. Yeah, Collins would be one. I mean, I would even throw Davis Mills in too if you need like a backup quarterback, just for, he probably won't be drafted unless you're doing like a 2-quarterback league, and if you're in a 2-quarterback league, you're a psychopath. But other than that, like Davis Mills is a good like plug and play for 1 week against a crap division kind of. So that would be my sleeper.
Yep, I like both of those. I like, as a stud, Brandon Cooks. I like the sleeper, Dameon Pierce. Another deep sleeper to take a peek at is Brevin Jordan, tight end. So if you're kind of desperate, if you're one of the people that likes to wait on tight end, I think there's pretty decent value there considering they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. Davis Mills is going to look for a blanket. So maybe take a look there.
What's funny is I was going to say that, but I didn't want Vic to clown me. I was going to say, hey, all those 1 and 2 year QBs always target tight ends for a blanket or some help. So that was going to be my guy, but we can stick with mine, Davis Mills. I'm fine with that.
I like that one. All right.
Well, Kirk brings up a good point and says that they'll be behind, so they'll be passing a lot. So you can expect those balls to be spread around some way. So I like it. Now I'm with you there, A-Rod. Tight end's a good pick as well.
But all right, moving right along to the next team in alphabetical order, the Indianapolis Colts. Key additions: Matt Ryan, Philip Lindsay, Yannick Ngakoue, Stephon Gilmore, Alec Pierce, round 2 wide receiver out of Cincy. Key departures: Carson Wentz, Jack Doyle, Zach Pascal. Big whoop. Good thing those guys are gone. But A-Rod, we'll start with you this time. What are your takes on the Indianapolis Colts? How do you feel about them and kind of what they did this offseason?
Well, Philip Lindsay's gone. He got cut today too. Yeah. So that's another guy.
I wrote this morning, by the way.
It's all good. Don't worry. I'm not trying to one up you on your show. I'm just like
No, you're good. You're good.
Want to see what all teams are doing. Want to see what's available out there for my team to pick up. But as far as what they did, I really, really like it. I think they're going to win the division. I think that defense is a very, very good defense. I think Matt Ryan has the leadership. He's been to the ship before. We all know how that ended out. You boys probably all have a coffee mug on your desk with the numbers on it. Yeah. So I think Matty Ice brings the leadership there that they needed, because Carson Wentz, he's going through an identity crisis too. Luke taking a team very, very far into the season and then going out, and then finally, Nick Foles takes the helm and they win the Super Bowl under Nick Helms, and then just can't get it done in Philly. Gets run out here after all you had to do was beat the Jaguars, and they lost to the Jaguars. And I think the stat continues. I think it's like 14 years straight that they've lost to the Jaguars in Jacksonville. But Jonathan Taylor's a stud. The receiving core, I'm expecting a big jump from Michael Pittman Jr. Like he's a stud. I got a big hard on for USC wide receivers, so I think he's going to do well. And yeah, I'm excited to see them play. I want to see what this team looks like.
Vic, what do you got?
No, everything A-Rod says right. I mean, biggest upgrade there. I know Kurt doesn't think he's an upgrade, but as a real life quarterback, Matt Ryan, I definitely think is a upgrade over Carson Wentz. Sure. Not just as a leader, but as a decision maker on the field. His offensive line last year was non-existent, and he had zero weapons outside of Kyle Pitts, who, again, was a rookie. Typically, rookie wide receivers don't have the same kind of impact that rookie running backs do in their first year. So, you wouldn't expect big numbers. Well, although he did have a good season, Kyle Pitts, but you wouldn't expect huge numbers, from Kyle Pitts last year. So, he went from basically having nobody in Atlanta to a slight upgrade receiver-wise, I think. I think Alec Pierce, I know I just trashed rookie wide receivers, but I like Alec Pierce a lot as the number 2 there. Pittman Jr. as well is a solid number 3 wide receiver. Mo Alley Cox, he's not Kyle Pitts, but he ain't bad. As far as running game, though, that's where you want to talk about the Indianapolis Colts. They had one of the best running games last year. Taylor was actually the best NFL running back last season. He averaged 5.5 yards per carry. 3.8 of those yards came after contact. So, just an insane, talented runner, Jonathan Taylor. And if he's not at the top of your fantasy queue this season, then you're not playing right, because this guy can do it all. He is the new Derrick Henry, the new Adrian Peterson, the new number 1 running back, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that was flush with talent at some of those key positions, like you mentioned perfectly, Vic. Key positions at wide receiver, like A-Rod was alluding to. Obviously, the best running back in the league. They got Pittman and Pierce at the wide receiver spot. They went out and got Matt Ryan. They don't need him to be MVP Matt Ryan, but it could prove it. I think it's still going to be quite the improvement, like you mentioned. And just to throw this out to Kurt, to counter what Kurt said, I do actually kind of like it as a hot take that he's not technically an improvement, but there is a significant counter to it. Last season was the first time that Matt Ryan missed out on 4,000 yards in a season in 10 years. So he's thrown for 4,000 yards in every season for the last 10 seasons. So, I mean, if that's his floor, right? You're looking at that perspective. If that's his floor, then this team's going to be really good, right? And they had one of the better offensive lines as well last season. So, I mean, there was really it just. Carson Wentz just looked a shell of himself mentally. Like, he just couldn't make the right decision. He didn't know what the right decision was. And I think mentally, Matt Ryan is going to improve this offense. The defense, 9th last season, like you said, Vic. They were 9th according to Pro Football Focus last year. Pretty much kept that same core, didn't really lose anybody. So you're looking at a team that's going to run the ball effectively, play very, very strong defense, and have weapons to spread you vertically. I mean, the Colts are dangerous.
Yeah, and to think they went 9-8 last year with the 16th ranked offense
Right.
in the league.
But they got hot late. That's their problem too. They got hot late.
Right. And like you said, the defense is probably better. The offense is a hell of a lot better. I wish I had the latest Pro Football Focus offensive line grades, but I know that their offensive line is solid. So, I like the Colts this season.
I'm trying to pull up that Pro Football Focus that you mentioned. But anyway, all right. Anyway, moving on. The over/under right now is 9.5. A-Rod, what are you doing with that 9.5? You like that?
Ooh.
I like that. I would go over though. I say 10 wins for him.
Okay. Vic?
That's a tough one. They won 9 games last year. They got better. They got better on offense. Upgraded at quarterback. I think they get at least 10 wins this season and make the playoffs. I like the over.
Are they winning the division?
Oh yeah.
I think so too. I think the Colts are winning the division.
So their only competition really is the Tennessee Titans.
And I think the Titans got worse, which we'll get to in a minute. But
you really think they got worse?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Okay. No, I'm gonna say no, just to counter your points. I'm gonna say no, they won't win the division, but they'll still make the playoffs.
Okay. Yep, I'm taking the over. The team won 9 games last season with the indecisive Carson Wentz. I think Matt Ryan's good for a game or two, right? And, obviously adding Alec Pierce, stretching the ball a lot. I'm taking the Colts to take the division. I think, A-Rod, you are too, taking the Colts to take the division. So
absolutely.
Vic is the only one that's going to counter us. Maybe he'll switch sides when we talk about the Titans a little bit. We can convince him that the Titans actually did get a little bit worse. And I don't mean from perspective of they got significantly worse. I just mean when you look at, relatively speaking, in the division, they got worse. Whereas the Colts definitely addressed needs that they needed. I think the Titans kind of didn't really. They tried to plug holes with some other players. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it in a minute. But anyway, A-Rod, hit me with your fantasy stud sleepers, some deep sleepers, anything you got.
All right. Well, we all know Jonathan Taylor should be going first in your league. And if you're not taking him 1 overall, you're in a Mickey Mouse league for sure. You just still have a hard on for Derrick Henry, or you just really love Christian and can't wait to let you down this year. We all know my take on white running backs, so I'll just leave it at that. Anyways,
slot receivers.
Yes. Anyways,
Jesus.
my two sleepers here though will be Mo Alley Cox for sure, because Matt Ryan likes getting his tight ends involved. So Mo Alley Cox is poised for a good year, I would say. And then everybody's rushing to get the Baltimore defense. Everyone's rushing to get the Bills defense, the Bucks defense. I'm taking Indianapolis defense. That's another good one to get right there.
Vic, hit me. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, that's the number 1 pick there. I like what A-Rod did when he went with defense. That's nice. But yeah, it's Jonathan Taylor is the stud by far. Sleeper. I like Mo Alley Cox. That's a sneaky one. I think right now he's the 20th rated tight end. Let's see here. On Pro Focus, let's see. So he is the 26th tight end. He's going drafted in most standard leagues. That's a deep sleeper. I like that. And one. I also like Alec Pierce, of course, as I've said before.
Yep. Yeah, my studs, I got Jonathan Taylor, of course. Michael Pittman Jr. I think he's a very, very good wide receiver. Had him in a lot of leagues last year. Obviously, the only league I didn't make the playoffs was the Dynasty one that I'm in with you, Vic. Every other team I did make the playoffs. Most made the finals, but I actually really like that. I'm looking at the ADPs, and Mo Alley Cox, according to ESPN, is not getting drafted.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is undrafted.
Wild. Huh.
So, and we know, Matt Ryan does like his tight end. So
he loves them. That's a good one. That's a good one, A-Rod. Good call. You heard it here first. Or second. Who knows? But all right. My deep sleeper, actually. Sorry. One of my other sleepers that I wanted to point out, and I wanted to make sure. I wanted to look kind of at the way things are being. Yes, Matt Ryan. 21st quarterback. You could do worse if you're waiting late in leagues, trying to get Matt Ryan. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a run-first offense, but you could do a lot worse. I think that's not too bad. I would probably still take Cousins or T-Law, Justin Fields over him, but nice little dart throw on Matt Ryan. If he blows up for 4,500 yards, I mean 4,000 yards is his floor, so you're looking at a pretty decent value.
Yeah, I don't hate that. If you're waiting on a quarterback late, I don't hate getting Matt Ryan. I think that's a good value.
I don't either, and I also think it's a new offense, so that's why they have him ranked there. He's not used to playing with these guys. It's a new playbook. He's been in Atlanta the entire time. He's comfortable playing in the wherever they play. Used to be the Georgia Dome. I mean, he's comfortable in that. So this is going to be a whole new feel for him. It is indoors again, so he'll be comfortable in that aspect.
Right.
But whole different lay of the land for him. I still think Matty Ice got something left in him.
And Arctic JC,
right
just
now,
to point out, I think Jonathan Taylor was just overshadowing Michael Pittman, but I believe Michael Pittman had about 11 or 1,200 yards receiving last year. So he was a very good wide receiver, but I think he was just overshadowed by how good Jonathan Taylor was.
He's poised for a big year. I'm banking this is the year because Carson Wentz he's got a lot going on with him. I don't get what's going on with that, but somebody Matt Ryan to get Michael Pitt involved, and he's gonna be, I'm saying, one of the better fantasy wide receivers this year. Make that jump in the league too. He's gonna be a stud. I see it all there.
He had 1,000 yards.
Yeah, the
1082.
The upside isn't there. The only thing with Matt Ryan is the upside isn't there, but you'll have consistency. So, for example, you look at the players going ahead, the quarterbacks going ahead of Matt Ryan. Currently, Matt Ryan's ADP is 132. So that means he's getting drafted in the 11th round of 12-team leagues. So, Tua Tagovailoa is getting drafted ahead of him. Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Trey Lance. Those are three quarterbacks that are getting drafted ahead of him that I don't know I would have significantly above Matt Ryan. Trey Lance's upside, of course. But Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, and Tua, I don't think I would have over Matt Ryan if we're looking at value where the pick is.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Kirk Cousins is better, but yeah, I see what you mean. Based on value, you're not going to reach for Cousins if you can settle. Matt Ryan.
You can get Matt Ryan 30 picks later,
right? And just get another running back or wide receiver to add depth. That
exactly.
makes sense. Yeah. But all right, moving right along. What up, A-Rod? Go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, all those factors and stuff, man. Like, screw that shit. Do your own, cues. Do your own numbering of players, because none of that shit is like real. I'm sorry. Like, I know they're factoring age, and they're factoring in, improvements to the team and things like that. So I don't know.
Well, I go by ADP, so that's average drafted position. So but I know what you're talking about, just fantasy rankings. Yeah, those guys are basically just doing exactly the same thing that we're doing. Watching, looking at the guy's stats. But I feel you there.
I think ADP also takes into consideration keeper leagues and all that stuff. So, I mean, you're looking at people that maybe if they're in a keeper league, they're going to take those other guys higher, where if you're trying to win now, it's like...
No, not... That's why you got to use Pro Football Focus #ad, because you can sort your scoring system. So, for example, I'm getting ADPs.
We want a free subscription to Pro Football Focus.
Yeah,
that's why we're doing this.
All right, let's talk shit about them Jags.
Yeah. So moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Key additions: Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, Brandon Scherf, and cornerback Darius Williams. If you tune into our show, you know I was a big proponent of Darius Williams going to the Patriots. Key departures, DJ Chark, and as of yesterday, see, I updated it. As of yesterday, Laviska Shenault. Didn't update it this morning. This afternoon. But yeah, Vic, what do you got on the Jacksonville Jaguars?
They're in trouble. This team really sucks. I can't believe they spent the amount of money they did on Christian Kirk. He's a fine player, but 4 years, $72 million with $37 million guaranteed. I feel like that money could be spent elsewhere. He has his career high is receiving yards in a season isn't even over 1,000 yards. His career high is 982, guys. So, not great there. They do get a key addition back in the form of Travis Etienne, their first round pick last year. So that could help bolster the offense. But as far as play call percentage, if you look at Football Outsiders, they have oh shoot, I lost it. Well, they called a lot of pass plays last year, mainly because they were down. But honestly, I think they wanted to see what they had out of Lawrence, and I think they were left wanting. He was horrendous last year. His Pro Football Focus passing grade was 58.2. That ranks 36th among the 44 eligible quarterbacks. So not great there. His turnover-worthy play rate, so that means, a play where there might have been a turnover, was 3.7% of his plays were turnover-worthy. That ranks 29th among quarterbacks. Yards per attempt ranks 40th, and his adjusted completion rate ranks 34th. So not great for Trevor Lawrence. I know, Sammy, you're big on him. I think he's, bust written all over him with a capital B. This is a Jamarcus Russell level bust here.
I don't think he's a bust. I just think it's the system he's put into. Jacksonville's another team that's going through an identity crisis. You had the whole Urban Meyer situation come in there, and you get rid of him, and what a shit show that was. We don't got to touch on that, but you bring in a new guy, you bring in new blood. You had they didn't keep the same head coach. Yeah, they went and got Doug Peterson. So Dougie P's obviously been in the ship and won one. Dougie P is a shell of himself, though. But it's a team going through an identity crisis, and they shocked the world with taking Walker over Hutchinson in the draft. And I think a lot of people are like, what's going on here? And you see Walker get a sack in the preseason, and everyone's like, oh, this guy's NFL ready. He's playing against like nobodies, guys. Come on, let's just be honest. Preseason football isn't real football, okay? I watched the Jets' fourth string quarterback torch everybody, and they cut him, and they're like, oh my God, why did they cut him? He's fourth string. He's playing against trash. So Jacksonville, if we're talking from a season standpoint, they're in for a world of hurt. They just got to know what they have really on the team and what's going to be salvageable and what they can grow around, because they got two good running backs. We haven't seen Etienne play, but we know his caliber at Clemson and what he did there. And James Robinson is obviously injured for the beginning of the season, but should be back. They could have, a thunder and lightning type running back where Robinson's the main, bell cow back, but you got Etienne going out for passes and things like that. I don't see Etienne leapfrogging Robinson, only for the fact that he's proven himself for 3 years now or 2 years now and got hurt last year, but he's, when healthy, pretty good on the field. The Christian Kirk acquisition, I think we're all shaking our heads like how and why are you screwing this up for wide receivers? And I know on my podcast we had a whole segment on like Christian Kirk has screwed it up for everybody, and now every wide receiver wants to get paid because of that. Nobody wants to play in Jacksonville. They got to get somebody who's somewhat enticing and has somewhat good stats, and we can look at this as Moneyball kind of. We're Moneyballing this, like, who's a guy who puts up like almost as good as like wide receiver one, tier one stats, but quite isn't there, that could maybe make that leap. And I don't see it, but that's maybe what the Jaguars are thinking here. And if I'm in that front office and I'm sitting at the chair, I'm going to the bar every night and drinking like, I got to get somewhere else. I got to go somewhere else because these guys are banking on players that they shouldn't be banking on. They're making the bad moves every year. They're trying to put together anything they can to try and win. That's not so. Jaguars look bad.
Jeez, guys, I think you guys touched on everything. I don't know what more I can add. I mean, I'll bring a little positive light to it. At least I think they're bringing in Doug Peterson. I think he's going to bring more guidance to a team that was completely lost and trashed last year by Urban Meyer.
I agree.
And what was all that was going on there. I think the other positive you can take from it is now you have 2 running backs. You have a young mobile quarterback. What does Doug Peterson love to do? RPO, baby. So it's just going to be RPOs all damn day. And I'm Vic, I am big on Trevor Lawrence, and I think he has shown a little bit of something. I think last year you got to take that out because of just the situation that entire team was put in. This year this is it. Like if he doesn't show a little bit more, at least in a sense of like what Davis Mills showed when he was on a dumpster fire team. I mean, his case was a lot different. The organization was fine. It's just they didn't have the players around him. I think Trevor Lawrence has a little bit more talent around him, given he's got the running backs. I mean, yeah, Christian Kirk's. Yeah, I'm a big Christian Kirk guy, but that contract is just, yeah, very, very shocking. So I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know what else to add there. But yeah, again, the team bottom ranked in almost every category last season. The current over/under is 6.5. A-Rod, I'll let you start. What are you doing with the 6.5?
I'm going under on that one, man. Till the Jaguars, prove something to me, like I'm going under on them.
Vic.
So they won 3 games last year, and in your mind you're thinking that's insane. Why is their over/under at 6? That shows me that Vegas knows something. That's sketchy. I don't know, man. I'm gonna go under, but I'm hesitant. I'm actually like kind of nervous about it. I think the over could be in play here.
I'm taking the over. I think you got some fresh faces in key places here. Trevor should have some success under Doug Peterson. I think he's got more guidance. I think you got added weapons around him. Granted, hopefully those weapons can stay healthy. And Robinson and Etienne, I think that's the key to make this entire system run. I think Christian Kirk, yes, the contract is excessive, but if you got a reliable guy with good hands, who Christian Kirk over the years has shown he has very good hands, I think it's going to be very good for Trevor Lawrence. Not to mention you got Evan Ingram over there. They got guard Brandon Scherf. So they're trying to shore up the O-line, bring in Evan Ingram over, maybe giving him a little security blanket again, A-Rod, as we touch on it again. Can Evan Ingram stay healthy? And that's going to be the biggest thing here. Yeah, I'm taking the over 6.5. And so what do you got for fantasy studs, sleepers, deep sleepers, Vic?
Fantasy stud, I have, even though we haven't seen it yet, I like Travis Etienne. I saw what he did in college at Clemson. I think he's going to be that guy. I think he's going to be nasty. Right now he's the 16th ranked running back, going 35th overall. Might be a little bit too rich for my blood, but I like him. I think he can have a good season this year.
Mm-hmm. I think Etienne's like a decent pick, like if you're like shitting the bed for running backs, but I don't know, man. What was his injury last year? Was it like a
list, Frank?
All right. So I mean, it is what it is. I always bank on my boy James Robinson. He just, when he comes back, like I feel like he's got enough in the tank still. Like he's not done yet. That's their part and soul of the offense, in my opinion. I would take James Robinson over Etienne, but James Robinson is going to miss a little bit of time. If we're talking reaching and shit, like stay away from any Jaguars player, in my opinion. Like just stay away from them. You don't know what the stats are going to be. And if one guy gets a touchdown and you're a sucker to go pick one, I mean, go do it. But if I had to say, if you're taking a sleeper, maybe Ingram, try and bank on him. Or Marvin Jones. I mean, Marvin Jones puts up decent numbers every year, and I think last year he was just like, I'm over this shit, but maybe with the new offense, it'll be better.
Yeah, I'm agreeing there. I like the sleeper Christian Kirk only because he's going to be just a reception hog because they're going to be down all the time. Look for Robinson or Etienne, obviously, in your studs. If you need a running back, I'm probably with A-Rod. I'd lean maybe taking Robinson a little bit later, waiting for him to come back. Deep sleepers, I got Trevor Lawrence and Evan Ingram. Again, I'm just relying on the fact that I know this team is going to throw the ball probably a crap ton. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't care about wins, right? You just care about how many times he's going to throw the ball, how many completions, how many touchdowns. Obviously, you don't want too many interceptions as well. I think with Doug Peterson, I think Trevor Lawrence will be just fine. I think he'd be much improved from last season. Maybe not to the ceiling that we thought of him coming in, but definitely improved from last year. So that's what I got for my fantasy as my cats are screaming. But all right, moving on to the Tennessee Titans, Vic's team to win the AFC North division, or AFC South, AFC South division. The Tennessee Titans, key acquisitions, Robert Woods, Austin Hooper, and then Treylon Burks, round one wide receiver out of Arkansas. Key departures, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, Deonta Foreman, and Anthony Fersker. Vic, I'm going to let you go first again. Give us
Okay.
Give us the cats are in heat. Average Kurt. But yeah, Vic, give me your takes on your Tennessee Titans and why you see them winning the division.
I mean, they're the incumbent, right? They're the reigning AFC South champ. I think they have one of the best head coaches in the league in Mike Vrabel. I think that even though they did have some key departures with A.J. Brown, I think Robert Woods could, if healthy, could slide in and fill that role. I've seen what Treylon Burks can do in college, and I think he's another one that could also fill that role. They still have Derrick Henry. They still have Ryan Tannehill. And until I'm proved wrong, I like the Tennessee Titans to go ahead and win the division. Now let's look at passing grades, right? Since 2019, Ryan Tannehill has the third best Pro Football Focus passer rating at 91. So, don't hate on my guy Ryan Tannehill, former wide receiver turned quarterback. But it's Tannehill, it's Henry, it's Brady. Those are the three most consistent in the league as quarterback, running back, and coach. So, in the division. So I go with consistency.
All right, A-Rod, you want to tell me why he's wrong?
I mean, losing A.J. Brown is huge. That's a big miss. And Julio Jones is whatever. I think he was there more to just like be a mentor and be a leader in the locker room for the young receiving core. And the offense runs through Derrick Henry. And then when Ryan Tannehill has to make a couple throws, he's going to find some receivers. I will say though, it's going to be a tough match between Indy and Tennessee for sure. I think even though losing A.J. Brown, Robert Woods is a really good receiver when he's healthy. And he's always healthy. He just got a bad injury last year that took him out for the season. Like Robert Woods, when he comes, I always say he's the most underrated receiver in football. And once again, I have a hard on for USC receivers. So just going back to that. But, Treylon Burks is a question mark. We've seen a lot of first round wide receivers bust out of there.
And he's not even looking as good as Nick Westbrook. That's the problem.
Yeah, I know they played him an entire game and he had like one reception or for like 3 yards or something. But it's preseason once again. Preseason doesn't do anything for me. I want to see what you do in the actual games. Preseason is to get the simpletons who watch football all riled up for the season to be like, yeah, we're gonna win. The Jets won 3-0. We'll be lucky if we win 3 games. So. My takeaway from this is, losing A.J. Brown is a big hole in your offense. As good as he is, he's definitely a top tier receiver. But you didn't go bad by going to get Robert Woods. That's good. And then banking on this kid Treylon Burks and this Westbrook kid, like if he pans out, he could be a good 3 and or your 2. Derrick Henry going to do what Derrick Henry does. He's a freak of nature. Honestly, in my personal opinion, I think he's the best running back in football over Jonathan Taylor. I'd rather have him just because he never lets me down. And when you need those fantasy points, you can always bank on Derrick Henry to get them for you. But I see him going second in the division. I think Indy will take their card this year and be on top of the South. So, and Malik Willis is waiting in the rings. You didn't even say him as an acquisition. That's a good draft pick right there. Malik Willis is waiting in there. He's had a pretty, once again, it's preseason, but he had a pretty good showcasing in preseason. So I know that the leash is starting to get very short on Tannehill, and they're getting younger. You see the guys they brought in; they're drafting younger. They're bringing in younger guys to be on this team. So I think the leash is starting to get shorter on Ryan Tannehill, because when it comes to that last game, it's I'm not putting it all on Tannehill, but Tannehill ain't gonna win you that game.
Exactly. And A-Rod, I appreciate you saying that Derrick Henry never lets you down. I'm going to refrain from singing the hook to the Kanye West song, because I can't hit those high notes. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. But and Vic, I think you kind of convinced me, just like I've convinced you in the past of other teams. I still think they got a little bit worse. I think the talent level of A.J. Brown is still higher than Robert Woods. However, I think you're catering the skill set of Robert Woods more to Ryan Tannehill, if that makes sense. You're getting a guy that's going to be a possession guy. That's not going to. You don't need to throw the ball deep. Not that Tannehill can't, but he just prefers not to. So you're kind of catering the players to him.
Robert Woods is one of the greatest receivers at creating space.
Yeah.
Watch him play. He creates a lot of space for himself, and he gets open and he gets downfield.
Yeah. And I think this is a Derrick Henry show. We all know this. This is a run-heavy, very run-heavy division. So the Derrick Henry runs this show as well. Now, when are those wheels going to fall off? That's also another thing that I'm concerned about. This is a guy entering, I think he's age 31, 32.
Yeah.
So
he's not. No, he's like 28.
Is he?
Henry's still young. He's not ready yet.
He's like 28.
So 5 years in the league, 6 years in the league?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, okay, this could be his. I mean, we've probably already seen his peak, but this could still be his peak. And this is a defense 11th ranked. What's up?
He had a whole half of the season off last year though too.
Right.
So,
that definitely helps him.
But sorry, Sammy, I cut you off.
No, you're good. The 11th ranked defense last season, according to Pro Football Focus, again with no big time losses on the defense. And the reason A-Rod didn't say anything about Malik Willis, because I was not sure if he was going to get any starting time, and it would be smart not to give him any starting time right away if they think that he has the talent to be to take over the reins for Tannehill. And I do really like him, but
yeah, and I know you were shitting on Burks, but his real issue is going to be learning the playbook and learning the route tree. So it's going to take him a while to get acclimated. But this is a guy that had 65 receptions last year and only had 3 drops. Averaged 9.3 yards per catch, tied for 6th in the NCAA. And he was in the SEC, so he was playing against actual pro corners. Not like the Pac-12 like Sammy likes.
Hey, I like the Pac-12.
I like Pee Wee football too.
All right, so the over/under is 9.5 for the Tennessee Titans. Hey, Rod, what are you doing with that?
I got him at 9, but
wow,
I could put him at 10 wins. I'd say the over. I would say the over with that.
Vic, you like them to win the division.
They went 12-5 last year. They had the 13th best offense, 11th best defense. I think they're a little bit worse, but not by much.
So at least we can agree there. There it is.
I they're going to win the division on a tiebreaker, though.
Okay.
So I have them at 10 wins.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was it, 10.5?
It was 9.5.
9.5.
9.5, so I had the over. Yeah,
Yeah.
slight over.
All taking the over. Yep, I did too. Even when I wrote, I said I'm reluctantly taking the over. I'm actually kind of teetering a little bit to the under. But I think the defense is enough. I think Derrick Henry is enough. I think Robert Woods is enough to have them win more than 9 games. So
Vrabel's a damn good coach too. Like let's not get it twisted.
yeah, he turned that team around. All right, so fantasy implications. Obviously, I think the consensus stud is Derrick Henry. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's no doubt.
All right,
Yeah,
sleepers, deep sleepers.
I was gonna say, if you take Derrick Henry 1 overall, like I ain't mad at that either. But if I'm going sleepers, I mean Robert Woods is a good pick right there.
Yeah.
Treylon
I
Burks,
think he's gonna miss a couple weeks, right? Or he might not be 100%.
He might.
Yeah.
He might. Wherever his ADP is, like I'm sure that's a good a good place to get him at. Treylon Burks, if you want to bank on that wide receiver, I think he's bank. If you're hurting for a tight end and you're down there, I mean, Hooper's a good tight end when he was with Atlanta and very productive. And when he went to he disappeared because of JUCO, and I don't know, Cleveland just will ruin your career for the most part if you're not a running back or Myles Garrett. But other than that, I mean, Austin Hooper could be a deep get for you if you need a tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking at Robert Woods as wide receiver number 40. The players taken before him are Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Ayuk, Devonta Smith, Hunter Renfrow, and Rashad Bateman. So, yeah, I'd probably wait on him. That's really good value, I'd say. I actually kind of like him over all of those guys. Maybe not Renfrow, but and Ayuk, I'm over that project.
I think I'd rather take. So it looks like ADP Robert Woods is being taken in the 8th round, pick number 101 in 12-team leagues. Treylon Burks is 128th, so in the 10th round of 12-team leagues. I'd rather take the home run shot with Treylon Burks, even though I keep what's it called? Going back on what I was saying. I know I don't like rookie. Yeah, flip-flopping on rookie wide receivers, but I mean I have no options here. I like Robert Woods, but he's 30 years old. He's coming off an injury, so I would take. I think Treylon Burks is my sleeper on that team.
Okay. My deep sleeper is Nick Westbrook, Ahine, or whatever his last name is. I can never say it, but Nick Westbrook. I think he caught on pretty late last year. I think he knows the offense pretty well. He might lose the job to Treylon Burks, but I think it's going to be a pretty good battle for that number 2 spot. Obviously, more people are gearing towards Treylon Burks taking it, but you could do worse than Nick Westbrook as like a late round flyer, just a flex guy, PPR leagues, of course, but.
Yeah, he's been in the. This is his second year with the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, or third year with the team. Okay. Yep.
All right. Moving on to the AFC West. Let's change scenes here. Oh snap! Oh no, JK. AFC West. So we're staying in the AFC. My bad. AFC West.
Okay.
All right. So the Denver Broncos, key additions: Russell Wilson, Randy Gregory, DJ Jones, Nick Bonito, linebacker out of Oklahoma. Key departures: Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, defensive end, Teddy Bridgewater, quarterback. So, A-Rod, what's your take on the new look Denver Broncos?
They got a quarterback, that's for sure, and John Elway loves his quarterbacks, and he's got a great receiving core, young receiving core that hasn't had somebody to challenge these guys or elevate their game. So I think now we're going to finally get to see that. So I like all the moves. I like the Randy Gregory addition. I think that's a good get for them, and I like that he pulled the okey doke on the Cowboys. The running game is really good. They've got 2 good running backs there in Gordon and Williams. The tight end is a little bit of a question mark that you lost Noah Fant. So I think somebody's going to have to make a big jump there. But I like everything they're doing. They're young on defense. They got the right guys in there. I wish Von Miller would have came back. That would have been dope to see him come back to the Cowboys. But he's obviously going to try and help Buffalo win something, and that hurts me to see that. But I like all the moves they did. I think it's a solid team.
All right.
It's gonna be a tough division, though. Tough division.
It is. This is my favorite one to talk about. This division is gonna be so crazy. So Vic had to step away for a second. So A-Rod, just me and you holding down the fort till he gets back. But yeah, I think this defensive front got better. I would have, like you said, I would have loved to see Von Miller come back on this team. They finally found their answer at QB. I think this was something I talked about on your podcast last season, and then even on our podcast last season, was Denver just looks like they're one of those teams, kind of similar to Pittsburgh, and they had everything except the quarterback. Like everything was perfectly set up to just take a quarterback out of air, just place him right there in that spot, and he'll be successful. I think the RB situation is an interesting topic to discuss. Javonte Williams versus Melvin Gordon. This is a situation I'm probably staying away in fantasy. And if I were to pick somebody, I'm going to lead towards Javonte Williams. First-year head coach Nathaniel Hackett has previously kept timeshares with running backs, so he does split the carries. And then if you look at last season, the numbers of Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams were pretty similar by end of season. But overall, I think Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, I think KJ Hamler, I think those guys get such a huge boost, dude. Like, I think those guys are going to be so good now. Russell Wilson, I think, is going to be absolutely excellent in that system. I think there's going to be some growing pains, though. What about you? You think this is going to be a perfect fit right from the get-go?
No, there's definitely going to be growing pains. It's a whole new lay of the land now. And Javonte Williams, I think it might be going in the first or second round in a lot of drafts. So, watch that. That's going to be tough for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Who listen to this for reasons, and we're no experts, but I've won a few fantasy football championships in my heyday. So, especially your league last year. So, can tip my hat to that. There's definitely going to be.
You can try and go back to back.
Yeah. There's definitely going to be growing pains. And it's far by probably the toughest division in football right now. And we're going to touch on all the other teams that had made a lot of acquisitions, big acquisitions. But the main focal point here is these wide receivers. We've been hyping them up, especially Sutton, since he came into the league. Like, he's supposed to be this stud, but he hasn't had somebody prolific to throw to him or a good caliber quarterback. So Russell Wilson can do it all. He can run, he can throw. He brings that winning pedigree there. Good locker room guy. He's definitely the meme of the football season with the Broncos country. Let's ride. Like, it's getting to the point that it's annoying, but he's just a fun guy. He's Kawhi Leonard-esque.
Mushroom. So
I'm excited to see what they can do, because John Elway hates not having a quarterback there, and that's what he wants. Right. And he made a splash, and he went and got Russell Wilson. I thought Russell was going to return, but KK was saying it all year on my podcast, like he wants out, and I was like, I don't think so, man. I think he's staying, but it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Timeshare with the running backs is going to be kind of scary, because Melvin Gordon's a hell of a running back, and to have him as your 2, and he's not even 30 yet. Like, we know he's got some wear and tear on him.
Yeah,
but
tons
of it, but at the same time, he's still, a goal line. That's the guy you want on the goal line every time. He's putting it in,
and that's where the timeshare was a little different. Was I think Melvin Gordon got a lot more of the goal line touches than Javonte Williams did last season.
Yeah, and he was definitely sharking on the line there. So that's a thing to look at probably there as well. The one question mark, like I was saying in the beginning, though, is going to be your tight end position. Noah Fant is gone. I remember, I can't remember the guy from Michigan, the tight end they got, Bud, funny last name, but he was supposed to be like this great tight end, and he ended up tearing his ACL and he played. So now we're going to have to bang on Albert, insert Nigerian last name. I wish I had KK here for that. But
Okwegbuna.
That guy, yeah, he's supposed to make a leap for them, and he looked great. In situations last year as a plug-in when Noah Fant was out. So we'll see what he can do at the tight end position. But it's a young, scary offense with Russ at the helm, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think the defense got a lot better with some of those additions they added. Plus, this was a defense that might not have been great, but they ranked third at points allowed last season. So definitely a defense that had promise, but probably with the lack of talent on the offensive end was probably just on the field for far too long.
Yeah, too much. Too much.
So, Vic, we were kind of talking about the Denver Broncos and kind of all the additions they made, but also kind of looking at it as a perspective of, is this a team that's just going to go right away, or is there going to be some growing pains with this Denver Broncos team?
Whenever you bring in a new quarterback and a new system, I think there's going to be some growing pains, but Russell Wilson's a professional. These guys are all professionals. They should be, ready to go day one. The chemistry is going to take some time to build up, but Pro Football Focus had him last year at a career low in terms of fantasy production. Now, a lot of that could have been on the injury, a lot of that could have been on play calling, a lot of that could have been on his horrendous offensive line. I think what this team was literally missing last year was a quarterback. This is a better team, a much better team. And although, you lose a little bit when you lose Noah Fant, I think it's go ahead and plug and play with tight end here in Denver. I think it's a system thing.
And the wide receivers, you got 3 to 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean, even Tim Patrick is a decent wide receiver. But, you got 2 top 30 wide receivers in terms of fantasy value, Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. I think this is going to be Jerry Jeudy's big year. He was an excellent receiver at Alabama. I think he's going to live up to his first-round draft status this year. Him and Cortland Sutton are going to go up. They're going to have a huge year. I like the Broncos a lot this year.
Yeah. So the over-under, you kind of touched on a lot of things I was mentioning too earlier to A-Rod. I think this was something I mentioned last year, was that this was a team, you said it perfectly, this was a team that all that was missing was a quarterback for this team to be pretty good. And they went out and got it. So, yeah, this is the over-under right now is 10.5. So who wants to go first on this one?
Oh, 10.5 is high. It is a tough division.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's high. I want to go over, but I'm going to say under here, under 10.5.
I'm going to say 2. I think I got him at like 9 wins.
I think 10 wins is my ceiling.
Mine too.
But I think they're going to be a fun team to watch, and I think maybe we're a year early, right? Like, I think if you look at them, maybe next year, maybe that we'll see them roll in the middle of this season, and then going into next year, they might be my favorite. And then even if they start to roll mid-season on, this could be a team that can make, because they have the depth at all these positions. They have the quarterback. They have so many wide receivers. Their defense is solid. This is a team that if they catch stride, they can just make that push. But yeah, 10 wins I think is my ceiling. So I'm taking the under. Plus the division, man. That division is freaking brutal.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to beat each other up there.
Yeah. They have
They have to have the highest total of any division in football.
I'm trying to look at where the Broncos are ranked. Oh, they have an average strength of schedule, so. But all right, we'll give you some fantasy studs, sleepers, deep sleepers, whatever you got.
If
I had to say sleeper, we know Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy are going to be off the board first. Wide receivers off, or I think top, was it 3 or 4 rounds for those guys, if I can remember when I did mine.
Yeah.
KJ Hamler's the guy to target. Tim Patrick's on IR. I don't know what his status is, but KJ Hamler's definitely a guy there to look at. Russ likes to get his receivers active. Tight end, Russ doesn't really use a 10, but Nathaniel Hackett style of play. The Nigerian Nightmare tight end may be a guy if he comes on hot. I mean, he looks agile and mobile and looks like he can block, and he looks like a good receiver. But I wouldn't bank on him. The only guy that I really have here, like if for a sleeper, would be KJ Hamler. Other guys, Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, they're going to do their thing. So, and I was going to say the defense, but it's such a tough division. You got to wait on it a little bit.
Can I go, Vic? I want to say something real quick.
Go for it.
Okay, tell me what you think about this, Vic. So, based on average draft position, when I had looked earlier, Russell Wilson is currently overall going in ESPN leagues quarterback 11. So he's going 78th overall. So you're looking at, like you say, that's round 6, 7 in traditional leagues, or 12 team leagues. And you're looking at a quarterback, and I remember seeing this stat last week. Russell Wilson never finished less than quarterback 10 in any season that he started, except last season, obviously, but that's a little bit more of an anomaly. But I like that value if you can load up your running backs and wide receivers, and then maybe just take a Russell Wilson in that 6th, 7th round, and then you can just stock up on back-end talent with dart throws. I think you're going to get top 5 value with Russell Wilson, especially if he's going as quarterback 11.
I agree, but it always takes somebody to start a quarterback scare. So that's why I hate like ADP.
So
I do. I fall for it all.
His ADP, according to Pro Football Focus, is 71.
Oh, it's gone.
So
up.
that would put him at around the back end of the 5th round in 12-team leagues. This all would come down to strategy. For me, I'm not a mid-round quarterback guy, but I think you're absolutely right that if you take Russell Wilson, you're in good, safe hands. There's an upside there as well.
Tremendous. That's like crazy.
I agree. I mean, his last 2 weeks of the season last year, he finished as the 2nd and 3rd ranked quarterback. Just those last 2 weeks, he finished in the top 10. 7 of the 14 games he played. So half the time he finished as the top 10 quarterback, and he only finished above 20 1, 2, 3, 4 times all season. So
on a bad team.
Yeah. On a bad team, yeah, absolutely. So I like it. I definitely like it as the sleeper. I think Sutton is my stud here. Javonte Williams is great, but I'm a wide receiver guy. I like Sutton.
Okay. Deep sleeper, as A-Rod kind of alluded to, Tim Patrick now on IR. So, yeah, KJ Hamler might be the go-to for a deep sleeper dart throw for your back end of your play. And I think all those receivers are going to have some sort of value if you're in a PPR league, because I think this is the team that's going to sling it. But, all right, moving on. We got to go quick here. The Kansas City Chiefs. So, key additions: Ronald Jones, Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Go Bulls. Sky Moore, round 2, wide receiver out of Western Michigan. What a name, right? Like Sky Moore. That's such a dope name, man, for a wide receiver.
A cool name.
For key departures for the Chiefs, obviously Tyreek Hill, Darrell Williams, and Tyrann Mathieu. So I want to start with this one. They lost Tyreek Hill, but I think they added depth to replace what he brought to the team. I think what they ended up doing was they mitigated the loss by removing him and adding 2 players that kind of add the same type of value that he brings. So you got Juju Smith-Schuster, who's a good possession receiver, guys that runs the ball, runs routes really, really well. Then you have Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's more of your straight speed, just straight down the field. Then you get a younger guy in Sky Moore, who can kind of do a little bit of both, but obviously he's a rookie, somebody that's going to have to kind of be molded into the type of receiver you want. So they saved some money on that end with the Tyreek Hill situation and mitigated some of that loss. I think this offense should still remain within the top 10 for the entire season. I think they do have hurdles to get through in the rest of the division, considering this division is going to be a freaking bloodbath. Their defense, again, leaves something to be desired as they were 18th according to Pro Football Focus last season. And I think they got a little bit worse considering they're going to be starting rookies Trent McDuffie and Brian Cook right into starting secondary roles, especially in this division with these wide receivers. Like, this is tough for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I think they'll be fine, but this defense is pretty bad. What do you think, A-Rod or Vic? Who wants to go?
I'll let A-Rod go first.
A-Rod.
They also added George, whatever Greek last name that is, the defensive end too.
Oh yeah, Kalafoudis or something.
Yeah. So what you said about adding those receivers is the same thing that I thought. You know, you get rid of a guy that's a good positional receiver and very speedy and very explosive on the field, and then you add Juju Smith-Schuster, who's a good positional, great route runner, and then you get Valdez-Scantling, who can run that straight line perfectly down the field, and you can just throw in that bomb. And then you bank on the Sky Moore pick, which is a good pick for them. But let's be honest, it's the Travis Kelce show all the time, and bulk of the targets are going to be going to him. And the defense, you lose Tyrann Mathieu, that's a big loss. I mean, that's what was like banking on them. The leadership, all of that in the secondary and in the linebackers' ears and everything. That hurts. I'm not sold on their defense, and I still think they're going to find ways to win, because even when they were sucking last year, me and KK were like, they could lose like 6 games in a row and then go 13-0 the rest of the season or whatever, for 10-0. And sure enough, like they pull off some crazy stuff. So I don't count the Chiefs out. So I think they're okay. I think this is like what they wanted, and it's the best way to plug and play a lot of things. And you just got to see what this new look team looks like without Tyreek Hill and Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bad defense that got worse. They were ranked 18th in total defense last year. So, you know, them getting worse, not great. Does not bode great. I think it's funny that a lot of people are talking about Juju Smith-Schuster. I think Mecole Hardman could be the best wide receiver of this group, to be honest with you, not including Kelce, of course.
He's been given his chance too many times, man.
Yeah, I think he could, though. I worry about Kelce. He's around 33 years old. That's about when Gronk started to go out. You know, he's getting older. He's 33 is tough for a tight end that keeps getting hit in the knees every year. As far as Sky Moore, you know, I'll be honest, I didn't really like him in the draft. I did find it interesting that although in college half of his snaps came from the slot position, but more than half of his yards came from the slot. So he does well in the slot. So if the Kansas City Chiefs are looking to use him in the slot, I think you know that could greatly benefit him and them. But I don't think he is seen as a Tyreek Hill replacement. I think he's more seen as somebody that's going to fill that slot role that's been lacking for the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, I like Juju Smith-Schuster, but the guy's a head case. He ran his way out of town.
Let that man dance.
Yeah, but still,
let him dance, man. He's more mature now.
He went crazy and basically forced his way out of Pittsburgh. I think with Andy Reid and that organization, they're going to be fine keeping him in line.
I left Pittsburgh and now I'm on the Chiefs.
Dude,
bitch about anything.
I'll just tell you, I don't really like Juju Smith-Schuster as a wideout this year, but hey, I've been proved wrong many times before. It could be another year.
There's anybody that can make a wide receiver good, it's Patrick Mahomes, and I'll always trust in that.
Maybe. He was throwing to Tyreek Hill for 5 years.
Yeah.
So that helps.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see who needed who, right? This is the year we're gonna see who needed who. Did Tyreek Hill need Pat Mahomes, or did Mahomes need Tyreek Hill?
I'm not saying Pat Mahomes is as bad as a bad quarterback. I just don't think he's, as great as everybody thinks he is. He's no Tom Brady, all right? He's fine.
Christ. Can we do the over here, please?
Yeah.
All right, so the over-under is 10.5. What are we looking at, boys? I think we're all under.
Under.
I'm putting over.
Oh, you're going over?
So you think they're going to win the division?
That's the tough one.
Well, if you're taking the over, they're winning the division.
Yeah. So right now, they have the second hardest schedule, according to Pro Football Focus.
Patrick Mahomes always finds ways, man. And that loss in the Super Bowl to the Bucs, like, that wasn't his fault. That guy did everything he could. That defense sucked, and there was no O-line to save him. He was running out there like crazy. So I got faith in Pat.
Okay. I'm taking the under. Vic, you're taking the under as well?
Yeah, even though everything I'm looking at tells me I'm wrong, but I'm taking the under. Right now they are 60% chance, 67% chance to make the playoffs, 40% chance to win the division title, 16% chance to win the conference championship, and 9% chance to win the Super Bowl. That's the highest of any AFC team.
Yeah, but I think they're also really down on the Raiders. They're really down on the Chargers. And
I agree.
They're probably a little too high on the Broncos, but that at least that's what I noticed from a lot of what I was
It's going to be a tough division.
It's
going to be a tough division.
I think they're just underestimating the Raiders and the Chargers.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, I'm taking the other division is tough. Probably happy at around 10. The defense, I think, is the weakest point, considering this. I think every team in this division can win the division, personally. Like any team, you pick any of these 4 teams to win the division, I'm not going to be surprised at the end of the year. And all these offense are constructed so strong that it's just, if you have the weaker of the defenses, if you can't get to the quarterback, if you can't cause pressure, if you can't cover, I mean, just go down the list, right? Like, you can't cover Jared Judy. If you can't, cover Juju Scantlin, if you can't cover Devontae Adams, if you can't cover Keenan Allen, you're looking at all these teams that have some of the top end talent at wide receiver. And if you can't get to the quarterback, you're in a world of hurt.
And I did find it interesting that Patrick Mahomes, according to Pro Football Focus, is worth 7.5 points in terms of spread, in terms of the spread rating. So, how many points he contributes to the spread whenever you bet, there's a spread. So it means if Patrick Mahomes were to, get knocked out of a game, that spread would drop 7.5 points.
Damn.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
Him, Brady, and Rodgers are the only 3 that are that high up.
Yeah, so that's to A-Rod's point.
They also have Justin Ross on IR too, so that Clemson standout receiver. So it's another weapon when he comes healthy that could come back for him.
Yeah.
Yep, just keep giving him all the weapons he needs.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right, so give me some fantasy players, studs, sleepers, deep sleepers.
I mean,
we know
Mahomes.
We know Patrick Mahomes is a stud, so he's obviously there.
Yeah.
The receivers are going to receive in Juju and Marquez. The running backs are kind of shaky. If I had to say sleepers, I would say Jerick McKinnon would be one to grab because, he's good at catch and run. And if Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't do his job the way he's supposed to, and he has to leapfrog, he can. Ronald Jones, we don't know. It's too scary. Ronald Jones is risky, so I would stay away from him. And then we're looking at receivers. Okay. McCole Hardman's a good one to target for deeper receivers at the end of your draft if you need one more.
If you want a running back, draft Isaiah Pacheco. Do it. Do it late. Draft Isaiah Pacheco. He's going to be the starting running back for this team by the end of the year. Deep sleeper. Calling it now.
Wow.
Deep sleeper.
Yeah.
Deep.
And then my other sleeper is Marquise Valdez-Scantling. I think he has a similar skill set to Tyreek Hill in a sense that he can spread the offense. And I think he'll provide that. He's done it for Aaron Rodgers. I think he could do it for Mahomes. I'm not saying he's just like Tyreek Hill, but very similar. Vic, what do you got?
Yeah, just it's Travis Kelce, my stud.
Oh, sure too.
Yeah, of course.
And
I never draft tight ends though.
And Mecole Hardman is my sleeper.
All right. Moving on. Las Vegas Raiders, key additions, Devontae Adams, Chandler Jones, Demarcus Robinson, Keelan Cole, and Zamir White. Round 4 out of Georgia, the running back. Key departures, Yannick Ngakoue, Zay Jones, Brian Edwards. A-Rod, I'll let you go first on the Las Vegas Raiders. Another key addition is Josh McDaniels. But A-Rod, I'll also let you know. All right, I'll let you go and talk about the Las Vegas Raiders. What do you like about them?
I like the look, man. I like getting Devontae Adams. I like him pulling the okey doke on Green Bay, saying I'm done with this Aaron Rodgers show over here. Like, he's a great quarterback, but like, dude puts himself too much on the pedestal, and it's ridiculous. Like, they made him a priority, but they didn't make me a priority. I said, sign me before the season starts. They didn't. I stuck to my guns, and I got the bag, and now I'm playing with my college quarterback that I did very well with. I think this is the test of time for Derek Carr. Like, we always say Derek Carr is like right there. I remember, like, what was it, second year in the NFL, he was like MVP talks and stuff like that. And he's always had like a subpar team. And Darren Waller's been a saving grace for him. Josh Jacobs is, I don't know where his head is at. He could be so much better, but he's like 50-50 all the time. You don't know what Josh Jacobs you're going to get. And Devontae Adams definitely, elevates that offense a lot. And McDaniels is an offensive guru, so he's definitely going to put together a good playbook for these guys. And you got Hunter Renfrow just being a sneaky little bastard in there, lining up in the slot, what the white boy wide receivers do best, man. So, I mean, it's a well-looked team. And they made the playoffs last year by the skin of their teeth. But, hey, they made the playoffs. So,
hey, don't forget Jordy Nelson. I know you talk about slot wide receivers, but don't forget Jordy Nelson.
Okay, bro, there's a couple outside
anyway,
there.
All right, continue.
White, you line up in the slot, okay? Prove me wrong other than that. There's a couple of them out there.
Cooper Kupp?
I'm saying. Huh?
Cooper Kupp?
We're not getting to all the white. We're talking about the team, okay? We could put a list out there, but I'm predominantly right on this, okay? I really am. Fight me.
You are.
Drop a pin. We'll throw some haymakers. But I like the look of the team. It definitely got better. They were kind of going through an identity crisis too. I would have rather them kept the interim head coach. I know that's what they wanted because he definitely picked the shit up and took them to the playoffs. But now he's the special coordinator in Jacksonville, so it is what it is.
Vic, what do you
got? Yeah, everything A-Rod said. Yeah, they got Devontae Adams. That's good, right? Mm-hmm. Interesting stat here, though. If you look at Derek Carr, weeks 1 through 7, he had a 101 QB rating. Weeks 9 through the playoffs, 86.1. So interesting. Wondering if that's a type of guy that
fades.
Fades as the season goes on. But as far as fantasy-wise for Derek Carr, and actually, really real-life quarterback stuff for Derek Carr, he ranked 10th among the 51 eligible quarterbacks with the Pro Football Focus passing grade of 85.8, 98th, a 98 quarterback ranking for the season, which puts him at 14th. So Derek Carr is that guy that's just kind of in the middle of the pack. That quarterback that's just there. He's Kirk Cousins. He's Ryan Tannehill. He's a steady presence. Now, does he make the leap with Devontae Adams? That's gonna be we'll see. But if there ever was a year for him to make the leap, it's this one. So I don't know. I don't know which way to go. I like McDaniels, but he was suspect last year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think this is a big question mark too. I think this is similar. This is a similar situation to Denver. Again, it's a lot of unknowns. The first year offense, but we have seen the success Derek Carr has had with successful wide receivers. Obviously I don't want to bring it up, but the Henry Ruggs before all that stuff went down. As a football player, it was very beneficial to Derek Carr. And Devontae Adams brings, that type of talent at wide receiver for Derek Carr at his disposal. Obviously, it brings that arm strength, the talent to Josh McDaniels. But again, I think I think A-Rod alluded to it too, was the Josh Jacobs situation. What are you going to get? We all know McDaniels likes a nice, balanced offensive system, and if he doesn't have, and he likes to run a lot of play actions. So if that running back is not really working out, maybe it is Zamir White's to take over. So something to keep in mind as far as a sleeper. But the over-under right now sitting at, and again, this is a middle-of-the-road team, right? That most likely just definitely improved. The over-under right now is 8.5, which I think is kind of a slap in the face. But maybe with what you say, Vic, all the time is maybe Vegas knows something that we don't. But this is their team. Why are they sandbagging them?
Well, for me, it's based off of who else they're in the division with, right? So, do I like them better than the Broncos? Do I like them better than the Chiefs? No, I don't. So I would go. I'm going to go under here on the Raiders. I don't think they got that much better. If that's sorry.
They won 10 games last year.
Yeah, I know, but I think the division got a lot better than they did.
Huh.
I agree.
You don't like 8.5 though? That's crazy to think about.
No, I think they'll be right around 8. Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
they're not all these teams are going to win 10 games.
I got them at 8.
Yeah, they got the third hardest strength of schedule. Okay.
I got them at 8. 8 or 9 wins is what I got for them. So I'm taking the under. I'm gonna take the under on this one.
Yeah, if you look at their
I
average
took the
wins,
over.
if you look at their average wins on the projections for Pro Football Focus, it has them at 8.5. So
Yeah,
it's pretty much a push. So I take them at 8. I'll take the under.
I got the over. They won 10 last season, and I know a lot of the players in this division got better as well. Yeah, I'm taking the over. I'm still gonna take the over. Real quick, fantasy studs, sleepers. A-Rod, go.
Devontae Adams is definitely the stud. Darren Waller, I know he's questionable. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's definitely a stud. Tight end. Derek Carr's, I think fantasy's going to go upwards since he's got all these little toys.
Average draft position is QB 14 right now for Derek Carr. So yes, that's good value.
Josh Jacobs is kind of scary for me. So, if you take him, bank on him playing for his job is what you're banking on if you get him. But I think my sleeper is definitely Zamir White. I think Las Vegas is starting to, be like, okay, this wasn't the guy. We thought we hit a home run with season 1, but we've seen
Not the droids
a
we're
lot
looking
of
for.
Yeah, these aren't the droids we're looking for. We've seen, year after year him progressively, decline. And Bama backs have that history, man. They just work you. But Harris was more the bell cow back there when he was there. So, but I think at the end of his career at Bama, he was getting used a lot. But I have Zamir White being my sleeper there. You can also throw Hunter Renfrow. I think he's a little bit higher, but, if you need another third receiver, he's a good guy to get. White wide receiver lines up in the slot. Perfect for your third wide receiver.
Vic, what do you got?
Yeah, Devontae Adams, a clear-cut number 1. And I actually like A-Rod's take with Zamir White.
Thank you.
Because the SEC?
No. Josh Jacobs has never really impressed me, I'll be honest with you. I mean, he's fine. But, to be drafted as high as he's been these past few years, I feel like he constantly goes in the top 2 rounds. I think this is the 1 year where he's not finishing in the top 2 rounds. But looking at his stats from last year and the games he's played, he's only finished as a top 10 back twice, right? And they had a decent offensive season last year, but he only finished in the top 15 1, 2, 3, 4 times all season. So top 15 is like a make or break point for me, So not finishing in the top 15 more than four times. That's depressing.
All right, there you have it. So, final team in the AFC West, the Los Angeles Chargers. Key additions: Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, Gerald Everett, Zion Johnson, guard Zion Johnson, round 1 out of Boston College. Key departures: Jared Cook, Justin Jackson, linebacker Kazir White. Vic, I know this is a team you and I were huge on last season. I think, A-Rod, you were as well. But I know on our show we were big hype train for obviously the Bengals and the Chargers. Vic, what say you about the Los Angeles Chargers?
Yeah, I love it. I love what they did in the offseason. They went out, they got key additions on defense mainly. They got one of the highest rated, if I'm not mistaken, the highest rated cover linebacker in Kyle Van Noy, which you don't have under additions.
Yeah, key additions, yeah.
He is a key addition. The number 1 cover linebacker in all of the NFL. Yeah, it's pretty good. J.C. Jackson, of course, huge. Khalil Mack. I mean, they really strengthened the defense. I love what they did with the offensive line. They still have, their studs. They still got Eckler. They even added another stud in Isaiah Spiller, which another one that I don't see on your key additions here. But
shame on you.
I love this team, man.
For all the work I do.
I'm just. I think this might be my Bengals. The Bengals suck.
This is a fun one, though. I mean, everybody's going to be on this one, I feel like.
I love the Chargers. I love the Chargers this year. I think they're going to be great. I want them to win the division. I don't know if they're going to win the division, but I definitely think they're going to make the playoffs.
Okay, fun fact. You might not know this about me. I am a closet Chargers fan.
LT?
That's weird.
Always been, because I'm a big LT fan. So I always like watching the Chargers play. I always follow them. I think they're like my West Coast team that I like to pay attention to and watch. And everything they're doing is right. It's all the right moves. The first domino to drop in the division is Russell Wilson. The Broncos go and get Russell Wilson. And then the Chargers say, hold my beer, we're getting Khalil Mack. I'm not putting up with this shit. So they go get, Khalil Mack. Great, pressure. Because we're all thinking Russ is going to cook in the AFC West. Not happening. I like the draft. You get Zion Johnson. You have people and Jackson and Van Noy. It all looks good. You kept Michael Williams, which was a good pick because I know he was up for contract. They kept him. And everything looks good on paper for Justin Herbert to succeed here. And he looked good his rookie year.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers made a huge emphasis this offseason to capitalize on Justin Herbert's window of opportunity, since he's kind of relatively cheap at this current stage in his career. They reloaded the defense big time, honestly. They were top 10 offense last season, as everybody knows. Really fun to watch, but they had a 24th ranked defense according to Pro Football Focus last season. So it was a defense that averaged 27 points given up per game. And as of actually earlier this morning, so A-Rod, I was a little bit on top of it. So as of earlier this morning, J.C. Jackson should be out for about 4 weeks. But I think the defense should be fine with Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack for for the
Sami
4 weeks.
Jr.
Yeah,
and they have 2 divisional teams, but then they got the Jags and the Texans week 3 and 4. So
go 2 and 2, they're fine. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, Linder, we are still alive.
But yeah, I think over under right now sitting at about 10.5 for your Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going over. What about you guys?
Over.
Vic?
Yeah, my head's telling me under, my heart's telling me over, so I'm going to go with my heart and say over.
Let's go over, baby. The Los Angeles Chargers are winning the division. Division. I think this team is probably maybe second best defensively to Denver, but I think offensively they're much better than Denver in a sense where they're more even keel, considering it's not a first time kind of situation. It's more players that have been there. So, yeah. All right, quick check in on you guys. You guys ready to just crank out the NFC West and call it a day? Or are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
It's your guys'
Okay, I
call.
can keep going.
Let's do it quick. Snappy.
All right, snap quick. All right, NFL, the NFC West. So we got the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, we're going in alphabetical order. Marquise Brown, key additions are Marquise Brown, Darrell Williams. Key departures, Christian Kirk, Chase Edmonds, Jordan Hicks, Chandler Jones. And obviously, DeAndre Hopkins is serving his 6-game suspension for PEDs, which could serve pretty brutal for the Arizona Cardinals. Vic, I'll let you go first on the Arizona. Actually, no, A-Rod, go first on the Arizona Cardinals.
Cardinals. I don't know. They're just like whatever to me. I guess I just don't like Kyler Murray. I don't know. I've never liked him. Maybe I have a vendetta against him. It's they want to make a show out of this kid, and he's got the talent. And then they give him this. He wants to hold out. He takes off his Instagram. The Cardinals, and they pay him. Then they put this clause like you have to put X amount of hours of play. You're putting this guy like all over, giving him media attention that he doesn't need when he focuses on winning football games. So right there, you're setting this kid up for failure right out the gates, in my opinion. Not a good look on the organization. You got Cliff Kingsbury sitting in his $1 million mansion, flexing on draft day with his no socks on and his shoes. Like, I feel like the team wants to be flashy, but there's no flash there, in my opinion. DeAndre Hopkins is a good get, but now he's got to serve some time on a suspension. J.J. Watt, he's become a shell of himself, and he was hurt most of the year. So as far as upgrades to the team, I don't see any big upgrades there. I mean, they got Marquise Brown, but Marquise Brown couldn't do his job really in Baltimore. So we thinking that Kyler Murray's better than Lamar Jackson? I mean, I'm taking Lamar over or Kyler any day of the week. So, Zach Ertz is going to be there a full season. That's a good get for them from last season when they picked him up. AJ Green has got like the knowledge. DeAndre Hopkins has the knowledge. Watt has that knowledge. But I don't see the same strength of the team that we saw beginning of the season last year. Because towards the end of the season, let's be honest with ourselves, the wheels came off the bus. So I don't see that same productivity going into next season.
Real quick to answer in the chat, yes, Zeke seems to be going consensus in the second round. I think his ADP is 29 currently in ESPN PPR standard leagues. Yes, overall 29, running back number 15. So yes, that is probably your top end RB2 value for Zeke Elliott. And I mean, if you're talking about securing a handcuff, you probably don't need to if you get another running back before that. But if you got Zeke and you're topping it off with like Derrick Henry or something like that, you're looking pretty good. But all right, Vic, what do you got on the Cardinals?
No, just echoing what A-Rod said there. I think he nailed it on the head. I mean, this is a team that really improved greatly. I mean, granted, they are a fun team to watch. Kyler Murray, he was fine. He didn't really impress me as much as I thought he would, to be honest with you. Again, another same thing as Derek Carr, right? Weeks 1 through 8, an 89.5 passer rating. Weeks 13 through 18, 77.
We got Call of Duty coming out this year too, so.
Yeah, huge. And then the Warzone, forget about it. But his yards per attempt went way down in the second half of last year, starting out at 8.9 in weeks 1 through 8 to 6.8. So definitely a guy, if you're looking to draft in fantasy, I would sell if you get him, sell high, before the half season, because it looks like he hits a cliff. And then, like Arod said, when DeAndre Hopkins comes back, I think this offense is going to look different, especially with Hollywood Brown, another former college roommate reuniting with his college quarterback. So, yeah, just a bunch of the same here. They won 11 games last year. I think that would be a high mark for them this year. I'd be shocked if they won more than 10 games this year, more than 9 games, really.
Good call. Yeah, I think the defense has not proved much. They were actually the definition of mediocrity. Like, if you had a mediocre line in the NFL, that's who the Arizona Cardinals were. They were 17th in offense, 17th in defense, according to Pro Football Focus. So they were just, like, smack dab, like, right there in the middle. They added depth at wide receiver, tight end, running back. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they managed to win 11 games last season. I think Hollywood provides a little bit of downfield depth. We got Green, Moore, and Ertz can kind of divvy up that middle of the field. And, I mean, James Conner was kind of an anomaly last season, right? Like, that 15 touchdowns, he's probably not going to do that probably ever again. That's something we probably hadn't seen in a very long time. But I think the team can stay afloat till Hopkins returns. And I think, yes, Victor, you alluded to perfectly, can Kyler Murray stay good for the entire season, and what will happen in October? And I know I said it as a joke originally, but I mean, that has been a thing when Call of Duty drops in October or November. That's usually when you start to see his dip in play. And then they have a young core in defense. I mean, they're all young guys out there in linebacker, and we'll see if they can really step up. And this might be, honestly, they might be a third place team in this division, personally. Over-under is 9. What are you guys doing with that?
Under.
Under.
Huh. I'm taking the over.
Not having DeAndre is going to hurt.
I'm taking the over. Not by much, but I'm taking the over. All right, fantasy studs, sleepers, any of that stuff. What do we got here?
I know you just shat on James Conner, but
No, I love James Conner. I was just saying, can he do that again? Because it was crazy.
I think he can. Last year he wasn't the number one running back to start the season. It was Chase Edmonds, and he finished as the running back 14, I believe. And if you're looking at his weekly finishes, he finished as the number one running back once, the number two running back number one running back twice, and number two running back once. And he was the 15th or better running back 7 of the games he played. And again, he didn't start becoming the main guy until really week 9, week 8.
Yeah.
So.
My fantasy picks here would be obviously Kyler's going to be the stud here. Connor's going to he'll be a good running back. I don't think he's going to put up the numbers he did last year, but I think he'll be just fine. This dude saved me in so many plug-in games, and he's a solid backup. Darrell Williams is going to be a good one to get on the back end if you need a running back at the end. Darrell Williams, I don't know why Kansas City let that go, but I'd have kept him. Darrell Williams is good. And remember, what's-his-face is out. DeAndre Hopkins is out. So I have a feeling A.J. Green is going to shine.
I knew you were going to say A.J. Green. Fuck you, right?
I was going to say, I'm saying Rondell Moore. I'm taking Rondell Moore stock.
Rondell Moore and A.J. Green are going to shine in my books. I just think A.J. Green has that veteran leadership that they know what he's doing. Rondell Moore's still kind of young. And Marquise Brown, I just don't know where his head's at in this game. Does he want to be, great, or does he want to just be really flashy? So I don't know where his head is at. He could be another one target, but I would say A.J. Green. You can get him very late in the draft at the very end.
I am so surprised as your sleeper you didn't mention the first time you haven't mentioned the tight end here. So Zach Ertz coming over from Philadelphia was the tight end 6, tight end 14 week 8, Week 13, when he came back from injury, he was the tight end 40. But then from 14 to 18, he's the tight end 12, tight end 8, tight end 5, tight end 10, tight end 7. And then for my daily fantasy people, he was the 4th ranked tight end in the wild card. So, you're right now, he's being a little bit overdrafted, I think. His ADP is 91. So you're looking at about the 8th round there. But if he hits like 100, so like halfway through the 7th. So if he hits like the 100th ADP, if he goes any lower than 100th, maybe the 8th, 9th round, I think that's a no-brainer. Zach Ertz, I'm picking him up.
You didn't let me finish. Oh, that's why I didn't say Zach Ertz.
You can't name the whole team as your sleeper.
That because there's a lot of good sleepers there. There's a lot of good sleepers on that team.
I think I was also shocked you didn't mention the USC product, Keontae Ingram, running back, as a deep sleeper.
No, that's in a 20-man league. Like, come on. I think where DeAndre Hopkins is positioned at too. That's another good pick to get because he's way down there as well.
Yeah,
90th.
All right, moving on to the Los Angeles Rams, the reigning Super Bowl champions. Key additions, Bobby Wagner and Allen Robinson. It's pretty crazy that you can say key additions and have those two names pop up for a team that just won the Super Bowl. But then you look at the departures list and you're like, oh, okay, that's why. Robert Woods, Von Miller, Odell Beckham Jr., Andrew Whitworth, retired, and Darius Williams at cornerback. A-Ross started last time, so Vic. Probably not much to say about the Rams other than they're just a year older, right?
Yeah, I mean they literally are the definition of running it back. So, for the sake of time, I'm just going to say that they're going to be good again. Stafford's going to do his thing. He's consistent. He really steadied the ship there. I think we see a similar type of improvement from. Going back to the Broncos, I see that similar type of improvement in the Broncos this year. But this is just a great team. They did lose Bobby Trees. They lost Odell Beckham, which could come into factor. But, they have Cam Akers coming back. They have Cooper Kupp, and they got Allen Robinson. Van Jefferson's showed out well when Bobby Trees was out. So I like this team going forward. I think they are my favorite to win the division.
A-Rod, what do you got?
You brought back Aaron Donald too, which is the biggest piece of this whole entire thing.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite player in the NFL. I love me some Aaron Donald. Fuck them picks. You don't need them. You put together a very good team. Super Bowl champions back to back.
Oh, okay. So the over-under is 10.5, so I'm assuming you guys are all taking the over here.
I'm taking the over, baby.
This is not that good of a division anymore.
Yeah, really, it used to be the strongest division in football, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I'm taking the over here.
I'm actually taking the under because I like to go against what you guys. I think they're a year older. They have the toughest schedule. They lost some key pieces to free agency, and I think there's a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. I don't think Cooper Kupp can replicate what he did last season. I think he'll have good numbers, but I think what we saw last season was just,
wide receiver.
Yeah, I think what we saw was a lot, and I think the NFL is a long season. It's a long season on your body. We've seen it with other teams. It's really tough to run it back. So they won their championship. Not saying they'll never be back again, but I just don't know if this year's the year for them to run it back. But fantasy studs, sleepers, all that good stuff. What do you guys got?
The entire team is full of studs. If you want to do sleepers, it really is. Like, the defense is solid. Take that defense. The kicker's like third on the list. Stafford, I don't know what his ADP is, but like I'm sure he's up there. The running backs are both to take. I would say my sleeper either be Van Jefferson too well, or favorite on the team, Sammy Ben Skolsnorik or whatever his name was in the Super Bowl. The other great white wide receiver that looks like a piece of IKEA furniture. Nah, stay away from that guy. I would say Tutu Atwell or Van Jefferson would be sleeper to have him split up to the game.
I was going to say Tutu Atwell as well. But Cooper Kupp is the stud.
Yeah, sleepers, Darrell Henderson and Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson's ADP is wide receiver 28, so I think there's pretty solid value there. You got a guy that can probably give you higher than 28 wide receiver value. And then deep sleeper, tight end, Tyler Higbee. See what happens there. Take a shot in the dark. Why not? Stud is Cooper Kupp. All right, so you guys said you're over on 10.5 fantasy studs. All right, San Francisco 49ers. Key additions. This is actually the team that I think is going to win the division. Key additions, cornerback Charvarius Ward, safety George Odom, defensive end Drake Jackson, round 2 out of A-Rod? No.
Who?
USC. Drake Jackson.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I wasn't paying attention.
Key departures, Raheem Mostert, defensive tackle DJ Jones, safety Jarkiski Tart, and guard Laken Tomlinson. All eyes on Trey Lance.
Thank you for late.
This team was pretty good last season overall. They were 3rd in offense, 7th in defense according to Pro Football Focus. I think they got a little bit better on defense. They added to it. Obviously, one of the guys is going to be a little bit young, so we're going to see how he can fit in. But I think this team can cover for some of those early rookie mistakes of Trey Lance. I think he'll catch a real solid groove by mid to late season, given his talent, given what he can do for this team, and some of the things he can do that maybe Garoppolo couldn't with the offense. So, I mean, this team's flush with talent too, right? Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Elijah Mitchell. You got all these players like all over the map on offense and defense. I think this is another really good team, but they're younger. This is just a little bit younger of a team in this division, and I think that's to their benefit. So, A-Rod, what do you got on the San Francisco 49ers?
I think it was smart for them to bring back Jimmy G because you don't know what you really got in Trey Lance. Like, we see small flashes in the pan, and I mean, he went to North Dakota State, and Carson Wentz went there, and they've got like similar numbers. I don't think he played his last year there. I don't know. I'm a little shaky on it because it's going to be a new lay of the land. We're not seeing Jimmy as the guy that's thrown out there, and I know we rag on Jimmy Garoppolo. He still gets you to the playoffs, and he still finds wins. Like he beat Green Bay. Like he had a shitty game, but that team did beat Green Bay with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm. I know the defense won that mostly, but Jimmy Garoppolo was managing that game at quarterback, not Trey Lance. So, and then you got Deebo. Who, like, is he disgruntled? Is he not? Does he want to be there? Like, I know he's got some kind of like injury going on with him too, and that's a loud ass cat. And then I've never seen so many running backs on a team. Like this is your example of a team like in fantasy that's just hoarding running backs, and that's all they're doing. They let Jermichael Hasty go today. So Trey Sermon has made that roster. So we've been promised a very good Trey Sermon from last preseason, and we haven't really got to see him. Huh? Yeah, exactly. So the receiving core doesn't really scare me. Brandon Ayuk is like very whatever. Deebo Samuel is the only guy that scares me there. And George Kittle is definitely a monster when he's healthy. And the defense is young. It looks good. Like, you may not know a lot of these guys on paper outside of Bosa, but they find ways to get it done and they play hard. So I see them as the second team coming out of this division. But, yeah, the Rams got their number. I mean, I know in the regular season do, but when it comes to playoffs, the Rams are going to take them. I'm fine. It's going to be back and forth in the division, but I just don't see them beating the Rams.
Vic, what do you got?
Yeah, so another, much of the same here, just basically running it back with a different quarterback that was on the team last year, and Trey Lance. This is a team that had the lowest passing percentage in the league in terms of play calling. So they are not ranked, 30th, so one of the worst, lowest, I should say, in the league. So expect a lot of runs this season. If you like the wide receivers, I think I wouldn't go crazy looking at Jawan Jennings or Marcus Johnson. I think you need to stick with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk here. fantasy wise. Now Elijah Mitchell, if he can stay healthy, he's a solid player as well. We're playing Shanahan ball though. You know what I mean? It's going to be spreading out the offense, running the ball over and over again. It's boring to watch, but hopefully Trey Lance makes things a little bit more exciting. I think that's the biggest addition that they made this offseason was, changing the quarterback, because this is a really big, high risk, high reward play here. If Trey Lance turns out to be, really, let's be honest, he could be like Kaepernick 2.0, right? I mean, they ran Kaepernick out of town to basically go to a Kaepernick replacement. But, I mean, they're fine. I agree with A-Rod. I think they finished second in the division.
All right. Over under 9.5.
I'm gonna go under. I think they win 9 games.
Yeah, me too. I got him at 9.
Okay. I got him at 11.
11?
Yeah. They're 7th in defense. They were 3rd in offense. Granted, they didn't pass a lot. A lot of spread stuff. A lot of running the ball. At least last season. I think this season is going to change a little bit more. I think they're going to have more of the flexibility to be able to do that. I got 11.
That's crazy. They were the 3rd ranked offense last year. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I think it's probably based on yards.
Yeah.
And Debo. Swiss Army
yeah.
knife.
Debo.
But all right, the last team is going to be really, really quick.
Fantasy.
Fantasy studs. I got Debo and George Kittle.
Okay, I got, of course, Debo's a stud. I got Brandon Ayuk as my quote sleeper. This is FY. Brandon Ayuk from week 8 through 18 last season finished as the 16th wide receiver in PPR leagues overall. So
good sleeper.
Take that what you will, but I like Ayuk this year a lot.
Yeah.
My fantasy picks, I mean, Ayuk's a good one too. Is any of the backup running backs, because these fuckers get hurt all the time, and then the next one up, and then he gets hurt, and the next. Exactly, it's like an assembly line of running backs there. Maybe getting Trey Sermon will pay off eventually for you. And I don't know where Robbie Gould is on the kicking chart, but they're going to be kicking a lot of field goals there. Robbie Gould's pretty solid kicker. Has been for like the past 20 or 30 years, however long he's been in the league.
Yeah,
so
for real.
Robbie Gould's pretty solid.
Yep. My other sleeper would be Trey Lance, as he's going as quarterback number 13. I think that is a boom or bust play, and you can ride or die by the San Francisco 49ers if you want to. But I think his floor is pretty good for fantasy because he can run the ball. So, all right. So the final team and, last and least team in the NFC West, the Seattle Seahawks, which is really crazy to say. We've seen a tremendous run by the Seattle Seahawks, so let's RIP to the Seattle Seahawks. Key acquisitions, if you could call them that. Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Kenneth Walker, running back, round 2 out of Michigan. Charles Cross, offensive tackle out of round 1. So when you see a team go offensive tackle heavy, then you know they're rebuilding. Key departures, Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner, Chris Carson, and Gerald Everett. So I think that's officially the end of the Legion of Boom, right? With Bobby Wagner gone.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
A-Rod, what's your... Oh, no, Vic, go ahead. You first. Anything to say on the Seattle Seahawks?
No, I think everything you said was mentioned in the key departures. So, I mean, they're going to talk.
That's awesome.
I see no quarrels. I mean, this is definitely going to be a new look team. It doesn't even feel right looking at that roster.
It's brutal, isn't it?
I think they're going to be the second or third worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got Geno Smith. I didn't know he was still a thing. Him and Drew Lock are going to be sharing the work. And it sucks because they have probably the best wide receiver tandem in football, right? Like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. You could do way worse than that as wide receivers. It's just That's
and even
gonna be,
Noah Fant. You got
Noah Fant. Yeah, well, they got that in the Russell Wilson trade, but still, like, oh man, it's just so abysmal to look at, and it's like, it's weird, right, to see the Seahawks do that. I mean, this is a team that was 7-10 last year, so now it's just like, golly, man. The over/under right now, just to put it out there, is 5.5. I think that's generous as hell. I want to see what their schedule is like. Oh, yeah. 20.
We have the eighth hardest schedule.
Yeah, the 8th hardest schedule.
All right, what's the over/under?
5.5. I got under.
I got under.
I think we all do.
Yeah, I'll take under.
I think, and I wrote too in my notes, this team is going to struggle defensively, offensively, and on special teams.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad.
Is there any fantasy relevance here? I couldn't even take it. Like, I couldn't find a sleeper. The only one I picked was DK Metcalf. He's probably still a sleeper if you think about it with this team.
Here's what's crazy is DK Metcalf is being drafted at 117th overall.
It's like in the 10th round.
That's insane, dude. I mean, I know Drew Lock or whoever is there is going to suck, but I mean, DK Metcalf is a talent. He should not be going that low. That's insanity.
I think DK and Tyler, they're going to get their numbers still. I mean, they're going to be low. They're going to be lower, but they're still going to get their catches and everything. I think the one player everyone's not targeting, though, and is the biggest sleeper on this team, is Noah Fant. Noah Fant is going to be the, oh shit, I need to throw to somebody. There's Noah Fant. And he's going to be there for Drew Lock and for the guy, I don't want to say his name because I can't stand him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about the Seattle Seahawks. It's just a sad day. But all right, I had a Townie takeaway, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to save it for next week because we'll have a lot more time next week. I know we took a lot of people's time today. I appreciate you, A-Rod, for coming on. I appreciate you, Vic, for your patience. I know we had a really, really long show today. Didn't really want to go this long, but I thought we talked about a lot of really great content. I appreciate every single one of you that has been with us for this long or has tuned in at some point. You will get a ton of content in this overall show. I will plan on chopping this bad boy up into little pieces to be more dissectable. But, A-Rod, before we sign off, thank you so much for coming on, as always. And this is your time to shine. Plug it all, man.
Hell yeah, this is Alex Rodriguez, one half of the Fairweather Podcast, also fantasy football champion for Townie Sports Fantasy Football League from last year, on the mic, spitting his ones and twos. Thank you for always having me, guys. It's a pleasure. My better half, KK, couldn't make it on, but we will be recording and we will be back for season 4 tomorrow, and I think we're going to get 2 special guests by the name of Vic and maybe Sami on there. Would be nice. So, yeah, we're looking to come back strong right before the NFL season to kind of do what you guys are doing, break down divisions, talk about, who's going to be the likely front runners for awards and Super Bowl and all that, and get you all hyped for football. And it's always great collaborating with these two. They're definitely my 2 favorite podcasters in the Tampa Bay area, hailing from Boston, and definitely my 2 favorite podcasters all around to listen to. So appreciate you having me again. And you can find KK and I at the Fairweather Podcast. That's our name. You can find us on all streaming platforms. If you're looking for us on Instagram, it's the Fairweather Podcast, YouTube, and then our Twitter handle is at @fair_weatherpod. So look us up. If you want to listen to some good shit, we give it to you raw.
We're doing it live. When can they find you? Wednesdays?
Yeah, we usually record Wednesdays and post content on Thursdays is how we usually do it. But give or take, vacations, mama sick, babies be shitting, we do it when we can, but we try and stay consistent.
Yeah.
Hi, Linder.
All right, Vic, anything you want to close out with?
No, I just want to say night to Matt.
Oh, see you later, Matt.
A-Rod, thanks again for coming on today. we couldn't do do all of our previews, not have you on one of the previous shows. So, thanks for coming. Always a blast. Sammy, thank you for everything you do as always, sir. Getting this all together.
You suck, Sam.
Keeping us sane. So, I appreciate you. All right. I think that's all for me tonight.
All right. And lastly, don't forget to check out our Instagram page at Townie_sports. What's up?
One thing. I just want to put this out there. What Chelsea is doing to Christian Pulisic is criminal and should be prosecuted at the highest level of the courts in England.
Don't forget. Nice. Good plug. Don't forget to check out our Instagram page at Townie_sports and our TikTok page, Townie Sports Pod, for all of the digestible content. And of course, we're going to have some great content this coming NFL season. I know we haven't had any great hot takes yet, but I got a few from Vic that I'll be chopping up and posting here in the next couple days. But again, you can find us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, give or take 1 or 2 days. We'll probably do next Tuesday because we got football starting up Thursday, and then from there it's going to be all the subsequent Tuesdays going forward. Thank you, each and every one of you, to like and subscribe. Be sure to like and subscribe. Tell your friends to like and subscribe. I don't see all of you people liking and subscribing, but thank you again. Quick shout out to Arctic JC. Go check out his page. He does Pokemon pack openings. That's our boy. He's always here every single week. Thank you so much. With that being said, I'm Sammy, along with Vic. And of course, we're always ganging up with A-Rod and the Fairweather Pod. But this is your boys from Townie Sports. We'll see you guys next week.
Hey, swag so mean, swagger on 100. We keep it real, dog. Nah, we ain't never fronted. You know my whole cap G-clan stay blunted. My toes stay bruised cause I'm running to the money. Swag so mean, swagger on 100. We keep it real, dog. Nah, we ain't never fronted. You know my whole cap G-clan stay blunted. My toes stay bruised cause I'm running to